Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:06. It's O'Connor and Company here on this very busy Thursday morning, 9th day of May. Thanks for tuning in. It's yours truly, Larry O'Connor, alongside Mercedes Schlapp, who you always start grooving around this time. It's like now you start to wake up. Like, where have you been the last 2 hours?
I've been right by your side, making you look good.
Come on. But not dancing and.
Well, no, now I'm ready.
No, exactly. That's my point. Coming up in 30 minutes, we're going to speak with local business owner Ken Neunenkamp about Military Appreciation Month and what other businesses can be doing for our vets. At 8:05, KT McFarland, and then at 8:35, Matt Foldy. Matt Foldy knows everything there is to know about David Trone. What a collapse of a. He is just.
You know what else? Matt Foldy also knows everything you need to know about Joe Rogan. He's like obsessed with Joe Rogan.
Foldy's a smart man. You know who else is smart? Not a man, but very smart. Bethany Mandel. Bethany Mandel joins us right now.
Bethany Mandel fan.
She, of course, is running for Board of Education in Montgomery County. She also was in attendance at yesterday's hearing over anti-Semitism in our public schools, K through 12. Bethany, great talking with you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
A really revealing moment yesterday brought out through the questioning of one of my favorite freshman congressmen, Kevin Kiley of California. Boy, there's some alliteration. Listen to this exchange.
One of the slides in this curriculum said, for some Palestinians, from the river to the sea is a call for freedom and peace. It then cited as support a quote from Congresswoman Tlaib, who was censured by this body in a bipartisan vote. Do you think that's an appropriate thing to have on a slide for students?
We definitely believe that it's important to expose our students to a diversity of ideas and perspectives. And if it was presented as a perspective, I do think it's appropriate.
Well, at least she was being honest. And Nikia Ford Morthell, she's the superintendent of the school district in Berkeley. And I don't know, Bethany, I mean, that's like saying, here's the point the Nazis were trying to make. Let's give you their perspective, right? That's really what this amounts to, and it's terrifying how quickly this stuff has crept into our government-funded schools.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny because I have a feeling that she would feel differently about offering both sides to a conflict like the Civil War. I don't think that she would feel that we should, explain to students that, a lot of people in the South, they had states' rights concerns. No. In that conflict, it's crystal clear. But in this one, there's context that we have to give to 5-year-olds.
We don't have to go. We don't even have to go all the way back to slavery. How about the law enforcement perspective on the George Floyd saga and the Black Lives Matter movement?
Yep. It's funny. It's funny what needs context and what does not. It's been a really illuminating last couple of years. This is why they're getting their butts sued. You spoke to the Deborah Project recently. They're getting sued by the Deborah Project because not only are they teaching this curriculum, but they're also not letting parents see what the curriculum is. The Deborah Project and parents asked for open records requests of what are you teaching my child? They won't give it. They know in their hearts that there's something wrong with what they're showing children, and they don't think that they're accountable to parents. It's the bottom line for all these people.
Yeah, and we know, Bethany, that these K through 12, we've seen those curriculums where they are pushing the gender ideology, the lack of, basically pushing this transgender agenda as well, and now they're going to add a really what I would say is right now, I don't think it's controversial on our end, but the fact is that they're pushing this, let's do the anti-Semitism messaging of bringing in Israel and bringing in the Palestinians and what's happening there into K through 12, which the adults are fighting over. So this is it's just so explosive. I mean, where does this end up? How do we make sure that the children do not end up becoming these anti-Semites that we've seen happening with the university kids?
Yeah, absolutely. This is why we're seeing this happen on university campuses, because they're being primed, they're being pumped with it. They are being groomed. Remember, we're not allowed to say that word, but I'm gonna go there.
That's right.
They are being groomed to be anti-Semites, and so much of it is learning that everything that they're teaching is somehow like this academic thought process. Like, oh, we're just offering all sides. Like, no, from the river to the sea is a proclamation that Palestine will exist in the entire area that Israel currently does, which means it will be free of Jews.
Yeah.
The only Jews that live in Gaza right now are being held captive, or they are IDF soldiers trying to free the aforementioned captives.
Yeah.
That's the only Jews that are in Gaza. And that's the situation that they want in that entire region. That is genocidal.
Bethany, when I was a kid, I told this story the other day. When I was young, I saw this patch. I got a patch at a church fair that had the Israeli flag. It said "Never Again," and my dad said, "You know what that means?" And I said, "No." He said, and then he sort of gave me the tools to look it up and discover it on my own. And when I raised it in school at a show and tell, the teachers enforced the idea of "Never Again." They reinforced how important the state of Israel was. I mean, back then we could count on our government-funded schools, taxpayer-funded and parent-guided school system to actually reinforce what we learned at home, these important American and freedom ideals. We can't count on that anymore. Can we get it back? I know you're running for Board of Education in Montgomery County. Is it too far gone, or can it actually only take a couple of election cycles to bring it back where it's supposed to be?
I mean, we need leadership in schools and on school boards to have people who will say you cannot promote a radical anti-American ideology with taxpayer dollars. That's
It's that simple.
You want to start your own school and teach kids to hate America? That's unfortunate, but don't use my tax dollars to do it. And that's what's currently happening around the country, including in Montgomery County, Maryland, who were also called in front of Congress yesterday because the situation here is so bad. The House Oversight Committee or the House Committee on Education and Workforce decided of the 3 worst school districts in the country on this issue, we are one of them. That's not a Medal of Honor I want.
Yeah. Well, are you surprised? I mean, how many of these schools do you know are actually like spending time reflecting on the Holocaust Remembrance Day that just happened? You know, like going back to that particular message, which is, I think, so important just for humanity's sake. But, you know, was there also a moment in the hearing that you were like, wow, this is so troubling. We're definitely going in the wrong direction here. Was there any particular moment in that hearing?
So I think the most troubling moment for us Montgomery County residents was actually a press conference that was held by Parents Defending Education. And a teacher from Montgomery County, from Pine Branch Elementary, spoke beforehand. And she said, I was the leader of the Muslim Student Union. Like, she's not opposed to, you know, Palestinians and Muslims, whatever. Like, she was their faculty advisor. And she said after October 7th, she was intimidated, she was silenced, she was disciplined. And when Montgomery County Public Schools were asked on the stand by Sylvester, like, what happened there? She danced around it. She spoke a little game, but then when it came to, like, here are specific examples from your school system, she could not and would not answer them, because at the end of the day, Montgomery County Public Schools has a really serious anti-Semitism problem. It's part of the reason I'm running for school board, and she doesn't do anything to address it. No one does.
No one does. Someone needs to. They need one voice on that board, and it's yours, Bethany. At the very least, one voice. Bethany Mandel. Yeah. Again, the elections next week, right here in the home stretch.
Yeah, and today is the last day of early voting, and I have to tell you, the numbers are not there. We get a critical mass of county voters out voting for myself. You've had Brenda on your show. You've had Fitzgerald Mofor on your show. We are all candidates who care about this issue, and every vote counts because not enough people are voting.
All right. That's some harrowing words from our pal Bethany. Hey, thank you for running, and thank you for taking time from the campaign to attend yesterday's hearing. It was critically important and important to have your voice there. So thank you as always, my friend.
Thank you.
It is 7:15 now. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the fives. It's Jamie Whitten. That's who it is. She's in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
A ton of news broke today. I've got the up-to-the-minute details for you on the next Vince Colonnese Show, 3 to 6, right here on WMAL.
All right, so yesterday it officially happened. We were anticipating it, Mercedes, but he did it. He went on CNN, Joe Biden did, and he completely threw our ally under the bus. I don't know how better to describe this other than to just let his words speak for themselves.
I made it clear that if they go into Rafah, they haven't gone into Rafah yet. If they go into Rafah, I'm not supplying the weapons that have been used historically to deal with Rafah, to deal with the cities, to deal with that problem. We're going to continue to make sure Israel is...
I'm sorry, who the hell does he think he is? Congress has already approved this funding. He begged for this funding, of course, because it was tied to Ukraine. And now he's saying, if they do that, I'm not going to give them the weapons that they need, which, by the way, means that the Israeli Defense Force, it's not like Israel's just going to say, oh, okay, then we'll let the terrorists continue to murder us. No, they're going into Rafah. If you don't give them precision bombs to be able to do it in the way that they choose, then they're going to go door to door. More people will die. And by the way, more Israeli soldiers will die.
And the hostages are put into more danger if they're still alive, which you would think that he would first start by saying, look, there are American hostages right now being held by Hamas. We need to save them first. That's a priority, is to get the Americans free and safe. That wasn't his first message. No. It was pretty much demonizing and condemning Netanyahu for his military strategy.
Yep.
And saying, we're just going to withhold the bombs.
Yep.
We're just going to, we're going to just not provide what they need. Now, Netanyahu and the IDF they've already warned the people in that region of Rafah to move into a safe location, to exit out of that area. I mean, it's not like Hamas, which was the surprise attack on the music festival and the kibbutzes that killed over 1,000 Israelis, innocent Israelis. That's such an outrage. It just shows how I really believe that there's just a battle happening within the Biden administration when it comes to this issue of Israel, where they just don't know how to manage this. They don't know how to manage the situation.
I don't think there's a battle. I think it's won. I think we see who won. It's the anti-Israel. They won the battle, because otherwise this would have never happened yesterday. And you mentioned the hostages. What kind of leverage do we have now? What kind of leverage does Israel have? By the way,
no leverage. For
people who really want a ceasefire, by undermining Israel's efforts they're in the middle of a negotiation right now. And now Hamas is going to show up to the negotiation table today and say, hey, you lost America, so now what you got? You're isolated. Even your allies are isolating you. You have undermined Israel's ability to negotiate a ceasefire. It's so despicable and so disgusting. And again, after talking about what happens in our schools, at our colleges, in our high schools, all of this started with a slaughter of 1,200 innocent people. They were slaughtered because they were Jewish.
No,
they were murdered in cold blood, and now that mobilized this global push to give the slaughterers a free state. Where I still am just dumbfounded by their cause. Like, okay, now that we've murdered 1,200 people, now we're really going to get what we want, and freaking Joe Biden is giving it to them.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's really hard to watch, because it's exactly what Netanyahu mentioned on Holocaust Remembrance Day, and I'm paraphrasing here, but if they will not defend us, we will defend ourselves. Like, they are being attacked from multiple fronts. Israel's being attacked by Hamas in the south, by Hezbollah in the north. Iran is basically playing a huge role in funding these terrorist organizations and trying to destabilize Israel, while you have the United States not knowing how to handle Iran, not being 100% supportive of Israel, and understanding that Israel has a strategic role in the Middle East to ensure that there's stability in the area, and that we stay strong with our ally. It's insane.
By the way, here was Joe Biden on May 7th, Holocaust Remembrance Day.
My commitment to the safety of the Jewish people, the security of Israel, and its right to exist as an independent Jewish state is ironclad, even when we disagree.
Wow. That's real ironclad. There you go. That tells you everything you need to know about his word and the commitment.
But how do you go from ironclad to wait? We're going to hold bombs. We're not gonna give them any ammunition.
He was lying, he does what he's told.
It is hypocritical.
Of course,
it is hypocritical.
By the way, you'll get a load of this. Jonah Goldberg took to social media yesterday and said, for what it's worth, I've heard from a lot of reliably anti-Trump people, and I mean really, really anti-Trump people. And he should know, Jonah Goldberg, right?
Oh, goodness. He's part of the anti-Trump,
This is the Bill Kristol, David French, Stephen Hayes, the whole thing, right? He says, really, really anti-Trump people who have had it with Biden tonight. He says it's anecdotal. He says it's anecdotal, but it's very telling in my circle. And I have no doubt. But will they, I mean, seriously, where are your principles? Where do your values lie? At what point do you actually say enough is enough? And if you, at any point in your political or public or private career, supported the people of Israel and support that state, and you recognize who the good guys are and who the bloodthirsty, murderous terrorists are, after Joe Biden's move here, is there any question in your mind for this election? Seriously.
There's no
question. Not that there was, but now there certainly shouldn't be. It's 7:24.
Making sense of your world.
I don't know where to begin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Thanks for taking my call.
Making sense of the news. Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:37 on this busy Thursday morning, the 9th day of May in your nation's capital. Coming up in our 8 o'clock hour, well, things get even busier, frankly. We're going to kick things off with our friend Katie McFarland to talk about how Joe Biden, in an unprecedented fashion, has undermined 50 years of allegiance between Israel and this country. Also at 8:35, Matt Foldy on the meltdown of David Trone right before our eyes, and just in time for the primary next week. That's all coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor, and that's Mercedes Schlapp. Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning, Larry.
And joining us right now
I finally woke up.
In the studio is the owner of the wine outlets, Ken Nunnenkamp, who is a great partner to this show and this station. And Ken, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Oh, hold on. Let me get your mic a little closer to you. Do you mind?
Yep.
It's like clearly you are not a radio professional.
Definitely not.
So, listen, we wanted to bring you in because this is Military Appreciation Month, and you are, people always say former Marine, but boy, you're not allowed to say that.
No such thing.
No, exactly. So you're, what is the Marine in waiting, a Marine in dormancy?
Just a Marine.
You're a Marine, damn it. And listen, a lot of businesses who end up partnering here with us at WMAL have a real affinity to the military. They're either like you, a veteran of the military, or, I just talked about Renter's Warehouse, and they bend over backwards to do things for members of the military. It's shocking to me that other businesses around here don't do that. Why is it so important to you as a small business owner?
Well, obviously, with our connection to the military, both my wife and I want to do things with the military personally and professionally. So we look for opportunities.
Yeah. Well, and also, I would think somebody who has a military background ends up being somebody, there's certain aspects of what they have been trained in that you can rely on, right? It's like you have a shorthand that you can talk with each other, and they know this much about how to go to work,
That's exactly true. And having the military commonality is very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, you're right, it's a reliability mentality. And when I hire someone who is a military person or a veteran, sometimes we actually have some temporary part-time active duty people who want to do things on the side.
Yeah.
But when you have a military person, you have a certain sense of you're able to rely on them.
Yeah.
They have an integrity, they have a dedication.
In Mercedes, the wine outlets, there's 3 locations in Northern Virginia, and you would like this. If you order wine on the app, you actually get the wine delivered to your doorstep within 2 hours.
Oh, that's fantastic.
For $5. That was, whoever came up with that one, Ken, is brilliant.
Yeah. I do have a question because, well, I love the military and I love wine, so that's a great combination right there.
It's the 1-2 punch.
I know, right? Tell me a little bit about how you first got into wine, because, I don't know. Like, how does a Marine get into fine wine?
I know I got into wine.
Well, I know why you got.
I barely remember
Larry.
the night in particular, but
I've had plenty of wine nights with Larry and Meredith.
So thank you. No, so it was very opportunistic, right? I've been a wine lover and a wine enjoyer for my whole life.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think we have that in common. And I had an opportunity to invest in a wine business, and we grabbed it.
Yeah.
It was a small business. It is still technically a small business.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just something one could do in the background. And you said, wow, this is fun. And to be very blunt, the big attraction about investing in a wine business is you get to say you're invested in a wine business.
Right, exactly. And that's
so
kind of a
cool.
cool calling card, right?
Yes.
Well, and if by the way, if you haven't connected the dots, the Wine Outlets is the official sponsor and basically the real framework behind the Larry Wine Club, LarryWineClub.com, LarryWineClub.com. We have a special event next week, and we're focusing. First of all, we're focusing on Virginia wines, which is fun and very exciting for me because, as you know, Governor Youngkin, who you are familiar with as well, has made me the ambassador to the Virginia wine country. But also,
you always shove
you got to throw that
you
in
just
there.
always have to make it a big deal so that I get jealous.
Well,
like,
it is
why
a
do we
big
have these
deal,
conversations?
and you should be jealous. But we're also going to be honored. It's in honor of Virginia Wine Month. Or excuse me, Virginia Wine Month is October. It's in honor of Military Appreciation Month as well, our event next week.
It is, and that's great, and we really appreciate that. We love the affinity with the Larry Wine Club, and we look forward to that. Next week, just from a week from today, is the next event.
So I'm just, what do you think, being a Marine, what did that life, in your life as a Marine, what did that do for you as you launched your civilian life? Why was that so important? Because we need, the Marines are the only branch that are currently making their recruitment numbers, but we have a real crisis in the Army and in the Navy right now, and we need to try to encourage people to join the military. What did it do for you?
It's a mentality. It's a way of life, and it's a discipline. It's a personal discipline, and it gives you skills. It gives you life skills, and it gives you personal skills, much like you hear Admiral McRaven's famous speech. When you learn how to live in a disciplined way, and I don't mean that in a harsh discipline way.
Oh no,
as in I came away with a higher sense of integrity, a higher sense of dedication and perseverance. I'd like to think the Marine Corps instills that better, but we know that all the military does that. I've had family in actually almost every branch, so.
Yes, that's spoken like a true Marine. All the military does it, just not as good as the Marines.
That's yes, I'm sure. But can we go back to the? I want to also
go back to the wine.
Well, yeah, I'm just so curious. I love it, but it's not just about the wine. There's also a cheese selection. Is that correct?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely, and it's an interesting thing that over the years we've become quite well known for our cheese selection. We started it out as a wine store, and now we're fully a wine and cheese store, which works out really nicely because, of course, wine and cheese go together.
So when you go to your fancy Northern Virginia parties, do you actually use that line? I'm quite well known for my cheese selection. That'll take you places, man.
Well, the store is well known for its cheese selection.
So, Larry, I think we should do the show from there. That would be so much fun.
I
and
haven't
then you
thought
and I
about
can
it.
try the wine
kidding? By
and
the time we
cheese.
get to the 8 o'clock hour, we'll just be slurring the entire time.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that's
fun.
a great idea.
Well, we welcome that.
Do you also actually? I just want to be clear. When we do our tastings for the Larry Wine Club, it is a tasting. We're not like chugging down, big gulps full of wine. We're learning about wine. Right?
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, say both by law, but also by practicality.
Thank you. Exactly. It's not like when a dinner party at your house, Mercy. There's so many charities and nonprofit, like we're connected with Fisher House. We love Fisher House Foundation. I'm personally connected with Fisher House, but there's a lot of organizations. Does Wine Outlets do things with them, or do you sort of work in conjunction with other organizations out there?
We do, and it's something we're very proud of. In the almost 20 years we've been around, we've worked with numerous local charities, some national, but for example, for about a dozen years, we were a drop-off point for Toys for Tots.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that. We also we partner with charities really on a routine basis. It's baked into the DNA of the business. I insist on it. And frankly, my folks love it. They're great people.
Yeah. And
they love getting out into the community.
Well, there's one other thing I can say about Ken is that when we began our partnership several years ago with Wine Outlets and specifically starting the Larry Wine Club, I talked about it on the air, and I got a very special text out of Leesburg from the great one, Mark Levin. And it was, and sometimes he listens to the show when he's in town. We're his morning show, he and Julie, and really Julie, because Mark sleeps in, I'm guessing. And I got a text saying, Ken's a good man. That's all I said.
Well,
so
I've known Julie for 25 years.
Is that right?
And or actually maybe even 30 now. I don't want to date her. I'll date myself. But we.
So you knew her in junior high, is what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Gotcha, yeah. Well, she. Let's face it. She is the great one.
We know where the power lies.
Yes, and well, that's what true story. Ken's a great man, so that's all we need to know. Listen, Ken, thank you for everything, and thank you for your service, by the way, also, and thanks for being a great partner with us here. It really means a lot to us because we value not just what you're able to do, and organizations like yours are able to do to help WMAL and help our listeners, but also. I think it goes two ways, and we love supporting what you're doing.
Well, thank you, because it's all about having fun when you're in the wine business. That's what it comes down to.
I would think so. You guys make it fun, I have to say.
We have events that we do. We say, come out, have a good time, meet people.
In fact, I think you just had an event. It was the Spring Rosé Collection.
Well, so we have Rosé Fest coming up now.
Rosé Fest. When is that?
In the Vienna store. It's this Saturday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, there you go.
So we try lots and lots of rosés.
Meredith and I went to Rosé Fest one time. It's a blast because she's a big fan of rosé.
Each store has its own one. We have 3, right?
Tis
so we have
the
to
season.
Do it at every place.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, Ken Nunningkamp, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you next week at the Larry Wine Club event.
Absolutely.
As well.
Look forward to it.
All right. We got to get people.
I'm not invited to it.
You are. You're always invited.
No, she's not.
Oh.
No.
Larry.
Trust me on this. Well, the wheels seem to be coming off the bus for David Trone's campaign to be senator from Maryland. He's got the primary next week. He's in a very tight race that he didn't expect with Angela Brooks. And so he took it out on a local reporter from Fox 5 who accurately reported about a tweet that Trone put out. Everybody's worried about crime right now, obviously. So he put out this tweet that included a line saying, everyone knows that we have a systemic racism in our criminal justice system. And so he was asked, well, what do you mean by that statement, that we have a systemic racism? And listen to what
you took one line out of 20, and you should be ashamed of that type of journalism. And shame on Fox. Fox needs to step up and do real journalism, and you didn't do it there.
I did the story.
You were
Fox
shilling
did
for Larry Hogan. So keep shilling for Larry Hogan.
This went on for over a minute, Mercedes. And it's, by the way, he's like, Fox. It's Fox 5. It's the local Fox 5
It's like
affiliate.
local Fox.
Yes,
crying out
exactly.
loud.
But he's acting like, all those evil
like,
Fox.
It's Fox and Friends.
Right. Listen, Ducey. It's like, sir, I am not Peter Ducey.
I am not Peter Ducey.
This is ugly. It's not good. And then, of course, by the way, Angela Brooks, I got to tell you, she's like taking political advantage of this.
Trone's main opponent, Angela Brooks, she responded to the post saying he doesn't have experience dealing with crime. She called out Trone's temperament this morning. Staying on crime, though, we did also ask.
Yeah, this is a temperament issue because he looked like, you should see the video of him with his finger in the reporter's face. And he looks like he's been dipping into the inventory there at Wine Outlet, or excuse me, at wait, what's his store? His store is Total Wine and More. Total Wine and More, different wine company, please. This is ugly, and he's been borrowing tens of millions of dollars of his own money to put into the campaign because I guess he's not raising enough. I'm torn.
So does he lose, or what's the deal?
I don't know.
You don't think he'll make it?
I sort of want him to stay in because he's such a train wreck.
Yeah, exactly. Let him be the one to win. I think that's fine.
You know what?
You're
who
a
will
Democrat,
know?
Vote for Trone. That's what we'll just say.
The person who will know the right answer to this is Matthew Foldy. He knows
Matthew
more.
Matthew Foldy is Mr. Maryland.
Absolutely, especially Trone. He targeted Trone for his investigative journalism years ago. He knows all about the man. So we'll speak with Matt Foldy about this coming up at 8:35. It's 7:55 now.